All right. Hello and welcome to this episode of the OCD and Anxiety Show. My name is Matt Cotty, and I'm a licensed clinical social worker and the creator of the AAA Response. And so on this episode, what I want to talk about is the idea of getting the proper guidance in OCD and anxiety recovery, because this is something that I think holds a lot of people back from really being successful in this journey when it comes to their recovery. And so for those of you that don't know me or haven't been part of the show for a while, please show your support by liking and subscribing and following us on our social platforms, because it just really helps the support of the show. And as always, feel free to share it with those that you think might benefit from it. And so when it comes to getting the proper guidance, I want to talk about kind of three avenues people take. And again, this is speaking from personal experience as well, when it comes to my own journey, because, I've been on all these paths. And so my hope is that as you listen to this, or as you go through this, that we can help you shorten the amount of times on the wrong paths and get you on the right path. So when it comes to OCD and anxiety recovery, we got to understand it in the context of a loop, right? And the loop has these four components: the intrusive thoughts, the uncomfortable feelings or anxiety or stress, and then the safety behaviors that one engages in to ultimately get relief. And this loop starts to build. So whatever theme or category of fear that you're currently experiencing, it's so important to shift from the idea of this is my fear and this item is the problem, versus this loop that I'm in is my problem. And that shift right there is paramount in someone's success, because whatever problem you're trying to solve is going to dramatically dictate the results that you get. So if you're trying to solve, let's say you're afraid of driving, if you see driving as your problem, well, you're always going to be at conflict with driving, right? Because that's going to be the content of your fear, versus if you see this wheel that you're caught in about driving and you begin to solve that, it's the results you're going to get are going to be astronomically different, right? And that's the point of getting the proper guidance, just right there. Is that here's the three routes that most people take. One, they get no guidance, and they just operate in this trial and error. I'm going to will my way through this day in, day out, and they fight and they fight and they fight, and eventually just run themselves into the ground. And I did this for a long time. Okay, so it's like, if that's you, if you connect with that, like there's no condemnation or shame that is attached with that. That is just the route people take. And they say, hey, look, I'm gonna go at this, and I'm going to do this myself. And I think it's an element of pride and ego, of course, that's involved here, of like, I don't want to even acknowledge the idea that I'm dealing with something. I don't want to acknowledge the idea of mental illness. I don't want to acknowledge the idea of stress and anxiety, because there's this negative connotation with it that, like, if I acknowledge something, it means that I have a weakness, or that I like whatever it is that keeps people on that. It just but so many people stay stuck in that lane, and what happens in that lane is often you're trying to solve the wrong problem, and you don't understand the problem from the larger context, and it's very difficult to get results at that level. And that's why, like, I stayed in that level for years, right, of just getting no guidance at all from anyone. And then you shift into the idea of getting some type of guidance, right? This can be from different counselors, from therapists, from clergy members, from pastors, priests, spiritual leaders, and we start to seek guidance. And the reason we start to seek guidance is just because we want to be directed by someone who's already done it, and someone who is where we want to be. And by its very nature is like, you can't get to, you've only gotten yourself to where you are. To get yourself to where you want to be, you're going to have to try new strategies, new approaches, and different alternatives, because what you've been doing has gotten you where you are. And if you don't like where you are, you're going to need a new approach, right? And so that's where we seek guidance. In any aspect in life. It could be, hey, I'm building a house and I've never laid concrete before, right? If I've never done that, which I have, but the point is if I've never done that by myself, which I haven't, Even though I've been in the process of laying concrete, and it's like me having to do it by myself would not be good because I've never done it by myself. And so getting the step-by-step guidance would be very important to make sure it's done right. Because imagine if I lay the concrete poorly, what happens is then the whole house is messed up because I didn't get the right guidance at that step. And kind of same concept here, right? When we're building our mental health back, and again, I want to stress that idea where if you're wrestling with mental health struggles, it's not that you're inherently broken or dysfunctional or something's wrong with you. It's just like your mental health is deteriorating, right? Just like the same way your physical health can deteriorate, right? Our physical health can drop, can go down, and we can get out of balance in certain areas in our life. And when it comes to getting the right guidance, we start moving into the idea of guidance because we want to get our mental health back, right? We want to reclaim it. So then we shift into the idea of getting guidance, and we try various things. I tried, probably five different therapists that all led me on bad paths when it came to OCD and anxiety recovery. For those of you that don't know my journey, I was struggling with, intrusive thoughts and panic attacks and anxiety. And this started when I was about 18. And for like 2 years of my life, I just was in this like fight. I didn't want to tell anyone what was going on. I was just like, I'm going to get through this. But eventually it just got to the point where I needed guidance. And so I went to the first therapist I went to was on my campus at college because I could go for free. And the guidance, was just, I know the person was trying as best they could with what they had, but ultimately it was, suggestions like don't worry about it and breathe and, like well-intended, but wasn't producing any results. And I ended up going to different people to try to find someone who really understood what I was dealing with. And the thing about OCD and anxiety is that a lot of people will tell you they can help you with it, but they operate from these theories that actually don't produce results, because there really is very concrete strategies to help someone, and talking about it and reassuring the person, and talk therapy in most cases is ineffective. And you have probably seen that before. If you struggle with OCD and anxiety, you've probably tried talking to people about this and it doesn't produce results. And the reason is because, again, if you're talking about the category and you're talking about the fear, you're not understanding the bigger picture of the loop. So when you get the wrong guidance, what happens is you start implementing the wrong strategies and you don't get results. And the one mistake that I think people make right here is that they assume that because this guidance didn't work, then there must be no solution. And it's like, oh my goodness, it is so far from the truth. But this is the conclusion that people reach, and they give up. They just say, well, I guess I'm destined to live like this. I'm just going to keep going back to my willful ways, and I'm just not going to get guidance anymore because it doesn't work. This doesn't work for me. I hear that a lot. And I thought that too. And then eventually you meet someone who's gone through it. And this is getting the proper guidance, right? You meet someone who's already walked the trail, who's already successfully done what you want to do. And those are the people that can give you the proper guidance. And the reason is because they've actually done it. They actually understand the problem. They understand what solution you're looking for. And they understand the strategies that you need to implement to get there. And the greatest thing about the proper guidance is the time consolidation that it allows. This is the important, the longer that I've been alive, what I've learned again and again is the importance of investing in the right guidance in whatever thing I'm dealing with at that point in my life. It could be fitness, it could be mental health, it could be coaching, it could be, just mindset strategy, it could be, again, whatever it is. Even in marriage and relationships, it's like we have this ego wants us to just do things ourselves and learn the hard way, and it's like it's so unnecessary. Because what investing in the proper guidance does, and whatever that means, how, like, is there so many variations to do that? It could be books, it could be courses, it could be, one-on-one guidance, it could be group programs. The point is getting some variation of guidance from someone who's already done it. And what that does is it's a time consolidation. And when you're investing in guidance, it's so important that you look at that. Like, there's two currencies you have in life. There's time and there's money, right? And what a lot of people do is they want to trade their time and just will their way into it. And the problem is that you have to learn all the lessons that the people that have already gone down the path and been successful, you have to learn those same lessons that they do, and you have to take the same amount of time or even more time to do so. And the problem with time is it's your only finite resource that you actually have, right? Like it just gets smaller and smaller and smaller every day you're alive. Every day you're alive, you have less and less time in front of you because we're all going to have an endpoint at our life. Whereas money is a replenishable resource, right? You can invest in something and work and, or whatever you do to make money and make more money, right? You can replenish that. Time you can't. And the greatest thing about getting proper guidance is that you have a time consolidation. And this is the thing that I've learned more. Like I'm always trying to, get the best guidance that I can from people that have walked the path because I understand the value of the time it takes me to learn that on my own. And what I'm really paying for with guidance, whether it's a book or a course or a one-on-one coach or whatever, is the consolidation of the time that it took that person to learn that to plant it in my head. And that's the beautiful thing about what we have now with the internet and resources available is you have the ability to consolidate time. And ultimately then, through the recovery process, go back and start to really live life on your terms. And the thing with OCD and anxiety is that you absolutely can recover. I mean, it is something that you can get better from. If you're really stuck in that wheel, you can break out of that wheel. There are absolutely proven effective strategies for you to do that, regardless of the type of fear you have, whether it's fear of panic attacks, intrusive thoughts, contamination, fill in the blank of the type of fear. That wheel, once we understand the wheel is the context of the problem, we can break it. And there's very clear-cut ways in order to do that. In Restored Minds, we walk you through the AAA response, and we walk you through all the tools on how to implement them, and that's how we do it, right? And the importance of proper guidance is time consolidation. And I just really want to stress that point today because I went all the wrong routes. I did no guidance, I invested in the wrong guidance, and then I eventually got the right guidance. And then on top of that, I kept going to the point where now I get the opportunity to guide other people, and you can too. And that's one of the great things that happens in the 12-step recovery program, right? Is that, I'm not personally involved in that program, but one of the things I really like that they do is that after you complete your steps, you go back and guide other people and support other people and sponsor other people through the process. Because once you've gone through something, that is truly the time where you have the ability to be able to guide someone else through it. And a lot of times what happens is we think therapists or just people in general are the appropriate guide, and it doesn't necessarily mean that's true, right? Just because someone's a therapist or just because someone's a counselor doesn't necessarily mean they're qualified to guide you on that specific problem. That's the reason it's so important to look for very specified guidance with the problem that you're experiencing instead of just generic guidance. Because once you really understand that the proper guidance involves, a lot of extensive training, it also usually involves a lot of extensive experience going down that path. And that's really what it takes to get to be successful, is to get the proper guidance in your life. And so for those of you that are wrestling with this, I just encourage you to come and check out some of our resources over at Restored Minds. We have some guides and some free trainings you can start with, as well as our Taking Back Control program, and also our coaching and stuff, because getting the right guidance is paramount for your success, and I really believe that. And so for those of you that enjoyed this episode, I really appreciate if you'd like and subscribe, and also leave a comment below letting us know any questions that you might have for future episodes. And and just check out the links below. So those are some great free resources to start with as well. So thank you so much for hanging out today. I wish you guys a great week. And as always, I'll see you on the next episode. Take care. Thank you so much for watching that video. And so if you're struggling with OCD and anxiety, I just wanted to let you know that we have a free training for you over at Restored Minds, where you can start learning how to use our AAA response to really break out of that loop and ultimately take back control of your life. And all you need to do to access is just click the little link below, and you'll be taken to a page where you can register today. Thank you so much.